What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Halftime with Bizzy. Today we have a very special guest who goes by the name Centauri. Now, Centauri, if you're not familiar with his name, is an individual who was recently lucky enough to get his Scout Rapid Transit featured in the new first operation, as some people have been calling it, the Armory Pass, which had over 100 skins shipped into Counter-Strike, and he was just so lucky enough to have the Scout Rapid Transit. And it's been really cool having him on today. That was really cool to have happen because it was so new to Counter-Strike, and I just saw it on my timeline and I said, hey, let's shoot him a message, and he was more than willing to do it. Very happy to do it. He also has another skin that he's worked on in the past that was also shipped into the game for the SSG 553 called the Atlas. We talk about a lot of very cool things in this episode, and I'm very grateful to have had him on, and he was a really good person to talk to, really easy. Really hope you guys enjoyed Launder's episode last week. That was a real huge one, and a lot of great feedback from that, similar to Summit 1G, which was also, I'm still hearing about that today, and you know, just can't even express how much that means to hear all of the amazing things you guys have to say. So thank you all for coming and watching and supporting and making this, you know, possible. If for some reason you maybe haven't seen on my Twitter, we are officially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you are working or if you're driving or something like that and you can't catch the podcast, well, you're in luck because the podcast is at your disposal. You can just have it on your phone, just put it in your pocket, lock it, good to go. Maybe I should be a rapper. Anyways, we're gonna get right into it. Thank you all for tapping in, and we will catch you on the outro.
Hey man, I'm a little sick, so my voice isn't all there, but it's good enough. So,
Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I'm glad we were
of course,
finally able to get this to happen. I've been really looking forward to it.
yeah, likewise.
Tell the people listening a little bit about how you started your journey in Counter-Strike and what it was that actually got you playing.
Right, yeah. So I used to play Bad Company on the Xbox, and I had a few friends that I got on there, and they eventually moved to the PC, and I was like, okay, let me hop on as well, and we started doing Battlefield 3 on there, and eventually I think CS:GO came out, yeah, 2013 I think, if I remember right. And they started playing it, and I was like, okay, let me get it as well. So I bought it full price and everything, and I was pretty young. I was like 12 years old, so I didn't really get what was going on, and I didn't really get what CS was. It was just another first person shooter for me. So I just played it, and I remember doing a lot of arms race because that's what I was really familiar with, that because it was like gun game and COD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the closest thing I had to the other games. And that's essentially how I really got started playing it. I mean, it was just the fact that I had friends that were playing it, and then I kind of discovered CS:GO because of that. Pretty much, I think I got it 2 months after launch, and I've just been essentially playing it on and off. I think it wasn't up until I was like maybe 16, 17 that I started actually playing it seriously and like playing actual comp. You know what I mean? Instead
Yeah.
of maybe even a bit earlier, but like that's when I went from like fucking what Silver Elite and stuff to like, okay, you know, LEM and Supreme and stuff.
Okay, I gotcha. So it wasn't like right away when you started getting into the competitive scene, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I was too young, I think, to get into that, and you know, school and stuff. So
Yeah, and plus, if you were to get into a competitive game at that age and not do good, I'm sure you'd be getting eaten up by your teammates, calling you all types of names.
absolutely, with the squeaker voice and everything, it would not go well.
History repeats itself, but Counter-Strike
Yep.
is like you were saying that you played it on and off and stuff over the years. That's what I love about Counter-Strike, man. It's the game that you can always come back to, and it's just as fun every time you play it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I mean we've all played other games as well, like for example Overwatch or you know anything else. And the problem with those games is that if you leave and you come back, there's some meta change or whatever. Like I've noticed that with Rainbow Six especially.
Oh
If you
God,
come
yeah.
back, you have to relearn the whole fucking game, and you can't do that. Like with CS, at least you come back and it's the same formula. It's there and it works.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I love the nose superpower aspect of the game. That stuff always just can't get with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, have you always had like this artistic background of yours, or did you Counter Strike kind of like ignite this passion?
Right. So the way it worked is going back to this whole thing with friends playing on the Xbox and stuff. We were really keen on making like a YouTube channel and stuff, as every young teenager wants to do or did want to do back in
Yeah,
2012.
oh yeah.
And we needed someone to make the thumbnails and like the channel art. This was back when YouTube had those. I don't know if you remember, but they had like the channel was really customizable. You didn't have just the banner, but like you could change the whole background and the colors, and you could like embed CSS and stuff, so you could like click on the background.
Yeah,
So
that's
we needed
right.
someone. Yeah. We needed someone to do that, and so I was like, okay, let me try picking that up. So I like started in GIMP and Paint.net and whatever was available back then, and tried to get a grasp on, okay, let me do the thumbnails, let me make the logos and stuff. And then eventually that kind of sparked that whole like design thing for me. Not so much the art stuff. It was very practical, graphic design, you know what I mean? And that's what kind of got me into the whole visual stuff. Eventually I just enjoyed doing that, and yeah, with CS, I mean, it became an opportunity to combine like the art stuff and visual stuff with CS. Uh, so that's how that I got into that. Um, yeah,
That's pretty sweet, man. So, like, it started out pretty basic, and then you moved to really advanced stuff, which we're gonna get into very shortly. But
yeah. I mean,
really
I've
cool.
worked with like like varying things. When I started, it was just thumbnails and logos, and eventually I got into, because I study programming right now, or informatics, IT.
Okay.
And I got into things like UI and UX as well, which is a very different type of design. And with skins, you're not really working with design. You're not making elements that people have to click on, and like it's not a website, it's something else. So it's a very different kind of approach. But definitely, I would say CS definitely helped in that regard, and in terms of pushing me in that direction.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
you've had a couple of your submissions on the workshop submitted to Counter Strike. One of them was obviously the SG Atlas from the Chroma 3
Yeah.
case, and most recently, which is the one I want to touch on for the most part today, you had the Rapid Transit get put in the game as well, which is in
Yes, sir.
the gallery case. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to make these skins. It's really really cool.
I
I love
mean,
the Rapid Transit.
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll start with the bad bunch, or the black sheep of them, and that's the Atlas. Um, I remember, I think it was 2015. I was playing this game called Mech Warrior Online. I don't think most people have heard of it. Um, but I was really fascinated by like the mech designs and stuff, and so like that bulky look of them and stuff. And so essentially the name of that at least came from that. There's a mech in the game called an Atlas. It's from like the BattleTech universe and stuff. Um, and the idea was, let me make like this sort of futuristic sort of skin that had like a light HUD on it with like orange lights and stuff. Um, and then when I made it, it looked a bit plain, so it was like gray and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I need to do something about that. So then the next thing I did was just add a camo to it essentially and make it green. And then I posted it, and yeah, I mean, just 1 year later it got in, which was really crazy. I didn't really anticipate that. I remember waking up and then going onto the PC and then checking, like I had like 20 notifications on Steam, which was unheard of. This was before bots and stuff. So even then,
Holy
it's like,
shit.
what's going on? And then I remember seeing most of them were messages, and people were saying congratulations, and that's when I pieced it together. I was like, oh my god, what's going on? So that's essentially how that came to be. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I have a love hate relationship with the Atlas. If I can just go into that, because obviously, I mean, it's not that cool of a skin. It's a mil spec, and I'm not the type to hate on skins because they're blues. Skins need. I mean, we need blues, and we need, because otherwise, what the reds are not going to have any power, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So but it's a skin I wish I could have improved. And I even did at one point, just before it came out, I did actually try improving it. But I remember opening up the file, and I remember I had like merged all the layers together by accident. So I was like, oh, well, I can't do anything about this. And so I just let it be. And I'm pretty sure that was a blessing in disguise, because if I would have made the changes and probably, submitted it to the workshop, I
Huh.
mean, for all I know, it might not have it might not have made it into the game. So
Wow. That's actually really interesting.
it's absolutely insane.
when you log into Steam and you see you have like 20 notifications or whatever, like, do you have an email saying that you got your skin submitted into the game, or is Valve just like really weird like that and they don't communicate with the people like that?
No, you do get an email, but it's just an email that says congratulations. It's super basic. Like there's nothing
Really?
of note. It just says congratulations, your workshop submission has been included in Counter-Strike, something like that. Um,
Wow.
so it's very like you get to know exactly when everyone else gets to know. You don't. There's no like warning. Occasionally, if Valve
Holy.
wants you, or for CS:GO historically, if the devs wanted you to change something, in the workshop, there's this function where they can do add dev comments. And so I'm pretty sure people in the past have gotten like a dev comment saying, hey, could you tone down the brightness? And then that person
Oh.
essentially knows it'll get added. But other than that, if you don't, if that doesn't happen, or if you don't get contracted for like an operation case back in the day, you could get contracted, right? They'd contact you and they'd be like, hey, we want this and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's no way of knowing before the skin gets added.
Dude, that must be such a thrill. Holy shit.
It really is. It really is.
So yeah, let's talk more about the rapid transit. I want to hear more about that. I think is a
Oh,
I love that skin.
thank you, thank you. I mean, it's unlike the Atlas. I love the Transit. I mean, it's a work of. I'm not gonna call it a work of art, but it's a good piece, and we're very happy with it. So, obviously, I've worked on it with Samoda. We're 50-50. Well, if I can call myself that, I'm the visual artist, and he's the technical artist. So I do the metro lines and stuff, and then
Okay.
he's the person that gets it on and like does everything else, like the texture, the textures, and the materials and stuff. Um, so I mean, we've known each other for some time, and he approached me about like, let's do like this really cool retro skin, with like lines going through the weapon and stuff. And we did a few like concepts of it and stuff, and yeah, it was okay, but we weren't too happy with it. And then Samoda, who again, yeah, who I was working with, mentioned like, okay, you've been working on these like train diagrams because I had been in Morocco to visit family,
Oh, nice.
and I'd been taking the train to get around and stuff, and they didn't, and in Morocco they don't have any like train maps that are really good. So I was like, oh man, let me do that. It might seem weird, but like I genuinely enjoy like because graphic design is a hobby for me, right? It's not my main line or anything. So I said, fuck it, let me just do like a train diagram for that, and we made that, or rather I made it, and I was like, hey, well, maybe we could use that as like the concept for the skin. And so we redid it, and we said, let's make the stations maps from CS, and let's try clustering them and putting them on the same lines if they're like the same, like so like Mirage and Dust are going to be on the same line because they're both in Morocco and stuff, etc., etc. And eventually we noticed, wow, this is such a cool concept. So that's how that essentially came to be.
Dude, that is such a sick story behind that. Like, what you must be super thankful you took the public transit the day you came up with this idea. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I even
unreal.
like I even did like an Oslo train like metro version as well, just like in preparation to like, okay, because Simoto was like, you try making something and we'll see how it goes. And I was like, okay, let me just try doing like an Oslo thing. I can send them to you. Obviously, people won't see them, but I can
Yeah,
send them
yeah,
if you'd like
sure.
to see.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
stuff is
okay.
super fascinating. I love to see it. So, what was your reaction to Valve contacting you to get the skin shipped into Counter Strike officially when you got all those notifications? Like, did you freak out and, like go check your email? Like, holy shit, it's happening? Like, was this a life changing experience for you?
I think with the Atlas, I didn't really think much of it because I was 16. I didn't really know what it entailed. And for me, honestly, the biggest thing was the fact that it got in game and that I could see it in game because I was playing CS a lot back then. I don't play it as much now because I have less time and stuff. But I mean, just seeing the skin in game and seeing people interact with it was the really cool part. And being able to tell your friends that you play CS with that, oh, okay, this like something I've made is in game. That was the really big thing.
So
Um,
awesome.
I mean, it's just incredible. Obviously, I mean, there's some money to be had from it, and it's allowed me to do a bit more than I otherwise would have been able to do. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that.
And like, this is a bit of a touchy subject, but
Hmm.
I don't want to ask you how much you made. Like, I'm not trying to be nosy like that, and I know you
No,
probably
no,
can't
that's fine.
even say it. But like, just tell the people listening. Like, was this something? Like, does this change your life at all? Like, this opportunity from Valve, like, because I'm sure they probably gave you a good amount of money, and for such, like, you said you were 12 when CS:GO was just coming out, so we're probably around the same age. I'm 25. Like, to be getting a
Yeah,
lump
I'm
sum of
24. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So like to get a huge amount of money, like that must be, you could put that towards school, put it toward a house or getting a car or something like, was this like changing your life in any aspect, even just if it's putting you a little bit ahead at such an early age kind of thing or
Sure, sure. I mean, the what I've usually or what I've done is just save up the money that I've got. So because I mean, I'm fortunate enough to live in Norway. The downside of living in Norway is that it is very expensive to live here. So
Mhm.
I assume that if you live in a country where uh what am I going to say, like income is like, or the currency is weaker or whatever, I think definitely this could be money that that could help you in life in a significant way. uh for me, it's just the fact that I'm able to, for example, help out my parents with rent and stuff, which is like the really big thing.
That's amazing.
um
That's amazing.
so it is absolutely something that can help people out and stuff, but it isn't something that I've ever, because I didn't start making skins because of money. It was because when I discovered, when the Arms Race update came out and people started posting, I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I can like make my own skin, and then I can like whatever import it into the game, and then like see it client side." But that, 13-year-old me didn't know that that wasn't how that worked. Because I'd played Gary's mod and everything else, and obviously there you could just post stuff and then subscribe and then use it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But with CS, you had to like submit it and it had to go through a process. So it was never like a crutch for me or anything, like where if I didn't get a skin in game, I would live a completely different life. Like I've pretty much gone the same life path that I would have otherwise. But it is just nice knowing that I essentially have, finances to help out parents and stuff. So it's definitely, a helpful piece.
That's what I love so much about, Valve and what they do for the Counter-Strike community. They include the people that play the game and, create opportunities for them. And, like what other game does that where you can go and submit something that you've made for the game and they accept it and give you money for it. Like it's amazing, dude. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, this game, man. It's
It
fucking
is. It
awesome.
is. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I should say, like a technicality that people typically get wrong. You're always allowed to talk about how much you make. I mean, Valve has made that clear. If you read through like the TOS and stuff, I
Oh,
just think
okay.
it's like it's just skin creators don't like to typically talk about it. What you're not allowed to talk about is like like percentages and the cuts and stuff. That's like
Oh.
very, very, it's specifically written into the terms of service that you can't do that.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. And again, like, I know it's a touchy subject, and I never, when I ask people that have created skins and come on the show, when I ask them about this kind of thing, I'm not trying to, I'm not pocket watching. I'm
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
trying to get you to tell me how much you made. It's not my interest. I'm just trying to talk about like the general subject because it is a really, big thing.
Yeah, not fair.
So, how has the feedback been from the community so far? Have you been seeing your skin and matchmaking a fair amount since the Armory update?
I actually haven't been playing. I have not been playing CS that much. When we've been playing it, we've been doing like 10-man groups. So like just
Like custom
friendly,
games?
basically. Yeah. So I haven't really been able to see it in game, but I have seen like a relatively positive reception around the skin compared to the Atlas. Because I remember when the Atlas came out, we did big like lots of memes on this, like friends of mine. About like various creators calling it like the Boreal Forest
Oh
2
my
and just
god.
like calling it that shitty green skin and stuff. And it is funny, despite the fact that it's like, I mean, and I don't mind that at all. But like with the transit, there's actually this positive reception to it. And Samoda sent me uh, people doing crafts on it and stuff and putting relatively expensive stickers on it. So I think, I mean, I'm very happy to see that people like the skin as much as we do. Granted, like in house or like behind the scenes, the Scout is my least favorite, but I cannot complain. You know what I mean? I prefer the other variants of the skin, like the
Mm-hmm.
MP9, for example, just because it's a smaller weapon. So you get to see the lines a lot better. You get to see the stations. You get to see the intent behind our design. With the Scout, it's a little you look at it from a distance and someone might think it's like a rainbow skin or whatever, when in fact there's like train lines on it. And obviously, like I said initially, we put some thought into where the stations go and stuff, and we want people to notice those details. But it's a bit harder to notice with the Scout. Overall, though, incredibly happy to see the reception towards the Scout.
Yeah, and like I get what you mean by how it's easier to see on like the MP9 because you can inspect it even in game, and you can kind of see everything right there. But that's what I think makes it even more unique that it's on the Scout, is because you can inspect it, but with how you inspect the Scout, like you can't see everything toward the barrel. Like you can't see that all too well, so it kind of makes you go, "Oh shit, I want to know what that's all about," and then you have to go and look at it.
Yeah, okay, fair. I think it depends, right? If it's just your average player, they might not notice it, and that's the one negative side. But if you're someone who's very interested in skins and maybe the skins market, it might do what you just said it might do.
Yeah, no, I think it works really well on the Scout, and the art fits so well on the body of the rifle. So I personally I love it. I'm a sucker for this skin, dude. This is one of the
Thank
one of
you.
the standout skins in the Armory Pass as a whole in my collection, let alone the gallery case.
Hey, thank you, Chief.
For sure, man, for sure. I always love hearing this topic unfold. I have to ask, what do your family or friends think about an opportunity such as Valve buying your art for their game? Because, for people like us, like our age, like our parents, they don't have any idea about this. Probably sounds insane to them. This company
Hmm.
is going to buy your art and give you, a bunch of money. Like, what are your parents and, your friends and other family members and stuff like that? What do they think about this when you told, like, I'm sure you told them about this opportunity?
I mean, my dad is like the type to like slightly understand what it means or what it entails. I've sort of tried to explain to him, and he kind of gets it. But like for my mom, for example, doesn't really get it. So for them, it's just abstract. It's a black box. They have no clue what it means, but they understand sort of the implication of it, and it is very cool. But I have friends that it's, I mean, obviously the same age as me, roughly, that are more perceptive or more capable of understanding what that actually entails. So for them, they've obviously reacted really positively, and occasionally I get grilled about it, like in a very funny way, like, oh, Mr. Skin and whatever. But it is fun. It's just
Yeah, no, it's a really cool thing to get someone to learn about it, because like I remember telling my parents about it for the first time, like just the reaction just to me was so funny. Like they're like, this is a scam, like there's no way. I'm like, dude, it happens, like I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Yeah, it is super weird. I mean, it feels almost impossible to describe to someone who's a bit older and doesn't like someone who plays another game who's never heard of CS. Even they won't have that much of a problem understanding it. Like you have, for example, people making skins for Roblox.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. You have a perfect
it's kind
example.
of this, same concept. I have a friend, and she has a sister who actually makes Roblox skins and has made I don't know how much, absolute insane amounts of money just off of that. And so to them it's easier to explain, but
Yeah, and Roblox specifically, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've been told by someone that like it is ridiculous how much money they pay for like a map or something like that.
yeah, I have no clue. I don't play, so I mean, obviously I played it as a kid, but I have
Uh,
I don't follow at all. I have no clue how much they make, or other than what I've heard, of course.
There's another cool opportunity for gamers out there, man. I love it. Are there any difficulties with creating skins with CS2's new tools compared to CSGO's tools, or was this something that was relatively easy for you in the sense of the creative process, since this is something you've already experienced working with in the past?
I want to say it's the opposite. I mean, CS:GO was so restrictive with what it gave you because it was on the source engine, and it was very, very outdated in terms of the technical tools that you had and the textures you could slot in and stuff. So with CS2, they've obviously, not obviously, but they've streamlined it, and they've made it easier to do specific things, especially when it comes to making skins look better. Like back in the day, you couldn't. With CS2, you have access to multiple maps, right? It's not just like a color map that tells you what color the skin is supposed to be. You also have a roughness map, which tells you how rough the surface of the gun is at like specific pixels. And you also have a metalness map, which tells you how metallic specific parts of the skin are. And so that gives you a lot more freedom in terms of defining how certain things look. Like you couldn't make that new op that was released with the first update. I don't remember what it's called, but you know which one I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Like that super shiny chrome one. You couldn't make that in CS:GO. Like it, I mean, it just wasn't possible because you didn't have the freedom.
Oh
And
wow.
so I think they've made, you know, like previewing skins as well was not a thing in CS:GO. You had to swap out a skin you owned. So like say I made an M4 skin, I would have to have a factory new M4 and then swap that like the texture reference out with my skin and then go into a private lobby and take screenshots. And that was, I mean, it wasn't hell on earth or anything. Eventually you got used to it and the process would always be slightly faster the next time you did it. But I know it was a barrier for entry for a lot of people because then the only screenshots you'd get were from the workbench, the old CS:GO workbench, which didn't really look that good. Like you couldn't change the view model and you couldn't change the lighting or anything, so it was very
Oh
restrictive.
wow. So
So
they've definitely
CS2
made a
was
lot of improvement.
definitely absolutely. I think one barrier to entry they've introduced is that because you have multiple texture maps, it's a lot harder to make your skin look good if you don't care about those other texture maps like roughness and metalness and stuff. With CS:GO, you had one texture and like everything looked a bit more arcadey, if that makes more sense. So you could get away with a lot more. But
Okay.
with CS2, because of the new PBR system, physically based rendering, you have to sort of abide by certain principles, and if you don't, it can look goofy.
Wow. Okay. Well, good for Valve for making it easier for the people. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is you also have a book called The Definitive Guide on the Weapon Finish. And
Yes.
it's a very unique idea and very professionally done by the looks of things, and I love the concept of it. Can you break down a little bit about what the idea and topic of this 145-page hardbook cover is for me?
Yeah. So the fun thing about me making skins is that I mean, with the Atlas, I mean, the transit was just a few weeks ago. The Atlas, I mean, no one knows that I made it, and so my say contribution to the community was never skins really. And the bigger contribution is obviously the compendium, which I didn't even I occasionally forget has had quote unquote the effect that it's had on people and stuff. But it is essentially just a big compendium on everything I feel you need to know about making skins. And so it's divided into three chapters: a practical chapter, which is essentially knowledge about skins in game. And then there's a technical chapter. That's the longest one. That's about well everything like everything technical related to textures. And then there's a social section, which is kind of designed to give you a clue into the community and what people value. So it has these sections you can go into, and depending on what kind of user you are or what kind of creator you are, you'll obviously reference different points. Like if you're new to CS and you know nothing about the community, but you've maybe played the game, then that last chapter on like the community and what people value in terms of crafts and stuff is useful. But maybe you've played CS and you know all of those things, but you know nothing about technical stuff. So then you refer to the first chapter. So it's like it's just a everything you need to know about making skins for CS:GO. And I'm still working on the version for CS2. So hoping to push that out sometime soon.
Oh yeah, man. And where did you get the idea to do something like this? Because I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do. Get a book published and put it on Amazon, and like that's a pretty
Right.
tall order.
It is. I had a year off essentially. It was like between I think the equivalent of high school and university. So like I had a year off where I could just kind of do anything, and I decided fuck it, Lena, let me use this year to kind of do something. I don't know. I was just I mean I'm super into skins and trying to like describe and explain why things are the way they are. So uh, I said let me try making something on skins, and then eventually it slowly pivoted towards being a big compendium on everything you need to know about making skins for CS:GO. And honestly, I mean, it had a lot more success than I thought it would. Uh, I think to this day, it's had like 35K downloads, which is more than I ever bargained for.
Wow.
Uh, it's had a few hundred purchases, and obviously you've had people make videos on it. You've had like 3 Clicks make videos on it.
Oh no
You've had
way.
yeah. Absolutely. I remember like telling him about because I have him on my friends list. I just told him, I have this guide I think you'd be interested in because I know he's into like everything super nerdy about CS. And then he was like, "Oh, oh wow, this is cool and stuff. Let me make a video about it." So I was like, "Okay,
Dude.
that's not the effect I was hoping for, like expecting, but okay, you I mean you do you." Uh, super grateful for that. And obviously I've had like, people like OniPixel, show it on stream like in hand and stuff. So
Wow.
it is, I even to this day, because I was supposed to release the second version of the guide some time ago, but obviously I'm very busy with life and university and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the impact again that this guide had, because I get people constantly sending me messages like, "Oh, has it come out yet? When is it coming out?" And I'm like, "Oh God, I forget that like I almost have like a responsibility, and it's insane. It's insane."
Wow,
So yeah,
man.
it's definitely like what I'm most known for is definitely that guide, and I'm super proud of it, and hoping to make the second version for CS2 because they've changed a lot. I make it better and just yeah.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Like, two huge names in the Counter Strike scene, Oni Pixel and Three Clicks Philip, man.
Yeah,
What an
yeah,
honor
yeah.
that must have been.
100%. And even, I mean, I forgot. I mean, even the Counter Strike. I mean, it's been featured on the Dreams and Nightmares like tutorial page, the official one.
Oh, wow.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember I got like a message from one of the people at Valve, because we don't actually have contact with Valve, the skin creators. I don't, at least. So I mean, maybe I'm like the one who doesn't get like talked to or anything. But
Yeah, yeah, okay.
um, they sent me like an email. This was like 3 months before Dreams and Nightmares, and they were like, can we like reference your guide in this like little workshop thing we're doing? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't know what
Wow.
it was. They weren't like, oh, we're doing it for a competition. They were being like super secretive about it. So I was like, yeah, go ahead, no worries. Let me know if there's anything. And then I think like 3 months later, in was it like January, maybe February, start of the year, they pushed out that thing, and I remember scrolling down and seeing like the official reference to my guide and stuff in there. And they've also like retweeted it on Twitter and stuff. So obviously it has garnered some attention
Dude,
in the past.
that's insane, man. Holy shit.
Super grateful.
Moving along, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to other creators that are looking to get their skins featured in the game, now that you have two skins that have been featured?
All right. Honestly, I think the most important thing is, and this sounds cliche, but I'll explain it in detail. Is just do your own thing. I feel like a lot of skin creators come in, or rather, new skin creators come in, and they want to do like the popular thing. They want to be the next Appel, the someone who has like 17 skins in game, who makes all of the super cool illustrations. But the thing is, if you just find your niche and you do it well, Valve isn't going to have a choice like any other choice than you. There are plenty of creators out there that just do their thing, and there's no one else to compete with. Well, for example, there's people like Millennia, and there's this other guy called Bizzo. They both make like 3D art skins, which requires a lot of work. But because there are like 2 or 4 people on the workshop that do it, when Valve wants a 3D skin that looks, well, for example, like the Deagle light rail and stuff, there's only 2 people to pick from. And so, what competition is there, right? You already increase your chances just doing that. Like, I just don't understand why people come in and start trying to do someone else's work better than them when they can just do their own thing. I'm very like, if I could say one of my aces, the one thing that I'm really good at with the workshop is sort of the technical knowledge that I have. But one thing that I'm also good at when it comes to art is doing the thing that I do specifically, and which is like kind of like consumerist type designs. They're like they've got brands on them and stuff, and I do that well. So I think people should just because if I try to like draw, bro, I cannot draw for shit. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I let other people do that, and I do my thing that I enjoy doing, and yeah, as well as the fact that I don't do it necessarily for like for the accept. I enjoy making skins just on the side. I think it's very cool. I think it's very rewarding. And so I don't think people should come in with an expectation to like get accepted and then get uh, disappointed that that doesn't happen. But also at the same time, just do the thing that you enjoy doing, and just do it well. Essentially, just make yourself irreplaceable. Do the one thing that you're really good at.
Love it, man. Strong message. That is pretty much everything I had for you, though, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you making a special appearance on the podcast. It
Hey,
was
no
an
worries,
absolute
of course.
pleasure getting to learn about you and your kind of history with Counter Strike. I like to leave the last part of the episode to the guests to cover anything maybe we haven't talked about, anything they want to share or give shout outs, anything like that. If you want to close out the episode. The floor is yours.
I honestly don't think there's much to say. I mean, obviously, I'm just working on the second version of the guide right now, and I mean, if people have any feedback from the first one, just let me know, and I hope it helps out people as much as the first one did. You know, I'm always constantly surprised at how much utility people get from using that guide, and so I hope the second version for CS2 does the exact same thing, if not more. Other than that, you know, bless up.
All right, everybody, that will wrap up today's episode. Again, very, very cool having Mr. Centauri on today and talking about his success with Counter-Strike. And guys, we are getting very, very, very close to January 2025, and that means we are going to be getting merch on the shop. The Etsy shop is linked down below, and as of right now, all we have is posters, but they're very crisp, and I think you guys are going to like them. They're very unique. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate all of the support, whether it be on this platform, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on the Etsy shop, anything like that. Like, I'm going to say it a million times to the point where it annoys you guys. I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate all of you guys helping me make this possible, and, you know, just checking out the platforms. Like, really, really cool, and it means a lot seeing all of the nice things you guys say. But on that note, we will end it there, and we will catch you guys next Friday. Episodes are every Friday if you're new here and you haven't been around much. So we will catch you guys next Friday. Till next time, everybody.